Okay, we're live. We're on there. Look, you got your Blackhawks hat on. I
Cool.
just noticed.
Yeah, yeah. I got a few of these. I got like 3 or 4 of these ones.
Chicago. That's my team.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a few different hats.
Huh?
I got a few different hats.
Yeah, I've got almost as many hats as I do watches. And I've got like 300 watches.
What? You got 1,000 shirts too, because you got a new
I know.
Keto shirt every day.
I have like
At
1,000
least
shirts.
3.
Here's the keto shirt of the day. This one is
Nice.
this one. Yeah.
Hey, Spivey's here.
Yeah, we got about 5 people. What, 2 thumbs up already? Spivey 21. Always the first one. Always the first one. I got a reflected light somewhere. I don't know where that light's coming from. It's coming from the kitchen. There. All right.
Hey.
Hey, today's episode is episode 1. Hey guys, how are you? And this is episode 1 of Going Keto podcast.
Episode 2, mate.
Oh yeah, episode 2. Yeah. Brought by me, Gonzo, and
Matt Walker.
oh yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sad thing, we didn't gain any viewers today. Today was the first day we didn't gain any viewers. And unfortunately, it was like the day after our first episode, which we should have gained like a zillion. You would have thought we gained a zillion viewers, but maybe people didn't like our podcast. And right now, we're only at 4. So hopefully that gets a little bit better as we do this. But I'm drinking butter broth, if anybody is wondering.
I've got my big boy bottle today.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Salty water.
Yeah, you're going to be going on a pee break halfway through. All right. What I wanted to do is we're going to talk about starting keto and the steps that you should probably take in starting keto. And maybe you should, the first thing you really need to do is for people to decide why they want to start keto. Okay, because there's a couple different reasons why. But first, if you're doing this, if you're going to stick with us through the whole episode, my suggestion is get yourself a pen and some paper so you could write some of this stuff down, because it's going to be a lot of information today. It's going to be a lot. And I see a lot of, hold on, let me look at something here real quick. No, my cat's jumping on the table here. Oh, it's just making a mess. All right, that's great. Can you see me? Everything's good, right?
Yeah, everything's good, my end.
Yeah, everything's good here.
I'm not looking at the screen.
It's just I have a weird screen up. I don't know why I have it, but I'll just let it go. All right. Kind of some of the reasons you want to start keto would be either basically for like weight loss. Probably most people are here for weight loss, and that's understandable. Now, I push the idea that weight loss is one of the benefits, but the real reason that keto is around and doing so well is that it gets rid of inflammation. It fixes the body from basically the inside out. So that's the main reason that I think people should know about keto. It's not just about the weight loss, because
if all the other health benefits as well,
yeah. If you're expecting just health benefits, or I mean, if you're just expecting weight loss, you might get disappointed because it doesn't happen as fast as you'd like.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed either. So you could be on a keto diet and still not lose weight.
Yeah, well, it's hard to do. It's hard not to lose weight, but it's definitely should not be your number one goal. You should definitely try to fix everything that you have going on. And then once all that other stuff is fixed, maybe it's your slow digestion, maybe it's your inflamed organs or something like that. Maybe it's other issues you have. Maybe once they get fixed, your body will start functioning properly and work better.
Sure.
That's the way I look at it. You got anything to add for that as far as we go from there?
No, let's go from there.
Yeah. Did you do your homework? Did you study up?
Just got to know Hey, did I study? No, never.
Never.
Never in my life I studied.
All right. Anyway, unfortunately, we're still only at 5 people. I don't know where everybody is. Usually I have a lot of regulars that just show up. Usually I hit almost 20, and for some reason I'm stuck at 5 today.
It's just nice over here.
Yeah, it's probably that portion over there. Yeah. Well, here's what I think. The first thing you really want to do is, besides understanding why you want to do keto, is get rid of the old mindset. All right, you have to get rid of the calories idea. You have to get rid of the thought of having to stick under so many calories. You have to get rid of the old mindset that fat is bad for you. When you're going to find out that fat is actually probably the best thing for you. So if you've been on the standard American diet, the stupid American diet, whatever people want to call it, hold on a second. Jen, yeah? Can you get Groot?
Groot, come here, baby.
Yeah, my dog. Never does he walk up to me unless my wife is here. When my wife's here, now he wants my attention. I don't get it. But if
you get rid of that mindset of fat's bad for you and carbs are energy and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and people think you have to have carbs, you have to have carbs, or you're just not going to survive, or whatever, or your whole world's going to end.
He's like getting into
so
it.
good.
Definitely, like I didn't do it, but one tip that I'd give starting out, especially, would be to do your research and make sure that it's the diet for you. And be super, super patient, because it's not going to be an overnight fix like it seems like it is on the internet. So you've got to make sure you're a patient person, and you got to make sure it's the right diet for you before you even start.
Absolutely. One of the first things you're going to want to do, though, as far as when you decide to start the ketogenic diet, is to really research it, kind of understand what to expect, because so many people. They ask me some of these questions, and they're like, why do I feel sick, or why am I not losing weight after the first week? And a lot of these things are really, like, if you did just a little bit of that research in the beginning, you're going to know what to expect, and that's what you really have to do. If you know that this diet might make you feel a little sick, like with the flu, if you don't follow it right. You need to know that, because you might be planning a vacation the next week, and then you're going to be like, oh, I don't feel so good. Well, and then you're going to have to know how to get out of that. And it's not that hard to get out of. It's just, if
you do your research, you know what to do to get out of that keto flu or whatever.
Right. They used to call it, back in early 2000s when I first started this, the first time I did it was with Atkins, and they called it the Atkins flu back then. And it was the same thing. But they just didn't understand it as much as they do now. Today, it's totally.
There's an Australian one called Body Trim. It was pretty much the same thing as Atkins.
Body Trim?
I would say. But it was, Body Trim. I had a lot of success on it at the time, but it was like a high protein, low fat.
Right. Yeah, that's the same thing as what keto, Atkins was, right? Lisa McFarland said she researched it for about 3 months. I kind of did the research for about, I bet I did it for about at least 2 months. Like I was all over it before I started it.
I did at least 5 minutes. What's next? I tried everything, literally everything. I'd gone from a few months prior to doing keto, I'd done a capsicum and water fast and ate nothing but bell peppers.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Nothing but bell peppers and water for, I think it was about 2 months.
I've tried some weird diets too, so I'm not above all that. So yeah, I've tried some weird ones, and this is probably the one that I think that after researching it the most, this one makes the most sense. It makes all the sense in the world, because all of the science, all of the data that's ever been done, it supports it. So when people say, "Oh, this is so new," and it's not. It's been around longer than anything else in the world. Like we talked about in the last episode, the very first confirmed data of a diet in the United States was 1867, and it was a low carb diet. It was the first one, and it was by that guy William Banting. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we talked about that, and that's the very first diet for weight loss that it was ever recorded in 1867. So there you go. Somebody's
Jennifer says when we try and research, there's so much conflicting information. So for a newbie, they don't really know who to listen to. Yes, definitely. There's so much info on the net. Like it's hard to decipher what's the best and what's not. I guess that's a matter of time. Like you'll figure it out if you are researching for, just like Lisa did for 3 months. By the end of that 3 months, you'll kind of have an idea of who you think is going to be right and who you want to follow and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So don't get too confused in the beginning.
Absolutely, and you're gonna get some conflicting ideas, but you're gonna get some similarities, and that's where you want to look at.
Even with the big keto gurus, man, they all have conflicting ideals.
Sure,
and
they
stuff
do.
about how to do it and stuff. So.
And what we're gonna do, we're not doctors. At least I'm not a doctor. I don't know about Matt. Matt might be one just secretly. But half these doctors that you'll see on YouTube, you are a doctor. Half these guys, half these guys on YouTube that say Dr. So-and-so, they're not even doctors. And first of all,
so Dr. Berg's a chiropractor.
He's a chiropractor, right? Now, the other thing I run into is most of these doctors don't even have nutrition in their to become a doctor. They don't even go through a nutrition course. So a lot of people put a lot of respect into that doctor's nutritional values when it was doctors who got us into this mess in the first place. So, and they all seem to have their own version. Like one of them says you have to eat like 7 to 10 cups of vegetables a day. If I eat 7 to 10 cups of vegetables a day, I'm not going to have room for anything else. I'm going to be like, I'm going to have greens coming out my ears. I don't get it. That's a lot.
Know how you get your macros in. How do you get your amount of fat eating 7 to 10 cups?
Yeah. How you're gonna eat like 5 or 6 salads a day or what? I don't know.
That's a good point. But though in the beginning though, it is I guess it's counterintuitive to most people when they're starting out on a diet, but to eat more fat or eat more in general. That's
what we're going to talk about next. Once you are committed to this and you decide why you want to do the ketogenic diet, you've done your research. One of the very first things you want to do then is to get yourself a starting point, and that would be like, get some pictures. Go into a private place if you have to. If you've ever seen my video or my pictures weren't necessarily going to be shared with the world. I never intended on doing any of this because there I was in my boxers, standing in front of a mirror in my gym, and now I show those pictures and my wife's like, I'm glad you're so comfortable about showing the whole world you're in your boxers. And I was like, the boxers are the least thing I was worried about. It's the big belly and the fat that just, that was kind of just throwing myself out there and being open to everybody. But yeah, I never planned on sharing those pictures. Now, we're not saying you ever have to or whatever, but I took a picture that exposed me for the worst that I was at. And that's what I did. And I wanted to see the worst that I was at. And every week I would take a picture in that gym and different boxers, of course. I've got like 20 or 30 different pictures in a row, and it just shows how my fat just went from really obese down, and it just kept shrinking down and down and down. And
Cool.
And that's what I think you need to do. You need to take these pictures, get yourself a starting point. I also did measurements. I did, of course, a lot of people do body weight, which isn't the scale isn't the best way to record your results.
Not.
No, because you're definitely not. Your friends aren't going to see the scale; they're going to see you. So, and like I have a shirt. I have a shirt that I definitely want to wear one day. I'm still not ready for that shirt, but it was a shirt that I think I bought was 3 or 4 sizes smaller than I was because I was in basically 3X. I have 3X t-shirts up in my closet right now, 3X and 4X t-shirts. And I got down into 2X and I was kind of happy. And now these are all just XLs. And I was actually in larges. Yeah, I was in a large for like briefly a couple of months, but I was in it.
I've got some 7XLs in there.
You do?
7XL shirts.
Get out of here.
7XL.
I don't.
I like
I didn't even know they made 7XLs. Yeah. So
definitely like any other measurement other than you. Like it's alright to get your weight at the start because there is you will see
absolutely,
that initial drop anyway, and it makes you feel good. But trust me, I do like a weekly video on what my weight is, and it does fluctuate and it plateaus, and it will make you. It won't motivate you at all to stay consistent with the diet. But then it's like, why am I doing this to myself?
right, exactly.
When every other biomarker, like measurements, all that sort of stuff is all improving. So it's like, yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you just won't see it on the scales.
Right, exactly. Now, one of the other ones that you can do, it's a little pricier and different, is to get yourself maybe a blood work done by the doctor and see where you're starting at. And he will let you know. He may not be happy with you, but he may notice that your triglycerides are up, your blood sugar is up, you may appear obese to him, you have a fatty liver, and these are all the things that in my experience, this is what we're here to tell you is our experience. We're not doctors or anything like that, but we are going to tell you what we've gone through, and that's basically what my first blood work test did. And it showed me, and my doctor was kind of weird about it, but I think we talked about that before. But that was my starting point where once I took that blood work test 3 months later, keto diet did miracles for me. So I'm glad I had that test done without even knowing that should have been one of the tests that I had done. Like I did the measurements, and I have the measurements all set up. I have that shirt, the clothing, I have the pictures, I have, everything. So, and the weight, all that stuff. So that's what I suggest because,
Did you go get a DEXA scan at all?
No.
The body fat percentage scan thing?
Now I have, actually, I think it's on my island right now. I have a handheld body fat analyzer that I used to use as a trainer. But it's rudimentary. It's not the best, but it was a percentage. So as long as you put in the same parameters that it asks for each time, and you test your body fat, it might work for you. I'm not sure. But the next thing I really want to talk about on how to do keto is to set your macros. So what are your macros set at?
So in a sec, I'll look it up.
While you're doing that, Jason Wright was asking about what do I think of BMI numbers. Body mass index is a way that insurance companies and doctors tend to look at how your weight is, and it's basically it's horrible. I'll just put it that way. It's stupid. It's wrong. It's ridiculous. It's a joke because it doesn't consider your bone density. It doesn't consider any muscle mass, because what it does is it'll put a bodybuilder who we know is probably at 4% body fat or less, and it'll make them, according to the BMI, it'll make them as obese, and it's just not that way. So if you have any amount of muscle on your body at all, you're obese according to a BMI. So there's nothing. It's just a joke. Yeah.
So let's try and stay like under 25 grams carbs. That's total carbs, not net carbs. The protein's at about 80 to 90 grams of protein, and then my fat's anywhere from 150 to 180 grams a day.
Right. And what we'll talk about first is the one I think that's the most important. But actually, let's talk about the easiest one. If you want to get into ketosis, the very first thing, of course, and it's the most obvious one, is to cut your carbs. All right, cut your carbs to around 20 grams of carbs a day. And then there's this controversy of net carbs versus total carbs, and we'll probably do an episode on that because it gets pretty crazy. It's like two football teams going at it with each other. You got one team over here. Oh, it's net carbs, and they have good science to back that up. And then there's the total carbs, and they're all about this and that, blah blah blah. And what I tend to go with is I go with Dr. Westman. Dr. Westman says go by total carbs. He says total carbs. That's it. You want to do it. Total carbs. He said because here's what he says. This is what this doctor has told us. Some people can digest fiber. A lot of the net carbs people say the reason they take the net carbs is because people can't digest a certain amount of the carbohydrates that come in fiber. And it's just not the way it goes. Jenny, your stove is on. Can you hear that? Sounds like I got a bomb. Now I got dogs running in my house. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, yeah, so if you want to get into ketosis, you have to cut your carbohydrates. That's the beginner right there. So if you don't ever cut your carbohydrates, you're never going to get into ketosis. So that's probably one of the most important. As I think they're all important, but in the beginning, it's carbohydrates. Cut them down to 20 total carbs. Don't worry about that net carbs. Hit 20 total carbs. Because I had somebody that was stuck, and they were at 20 net carbs. Okay, but come to find out, she's eating probably 50 or 60 total carbs. Wasn't helping her.
What do you think about transitioning into like low carb? So like instead of just going like, all right, on Monday I'm going to cut my diet down from being completely fueled by carbohydrates right down to 25 under 25 grams of total carbs. I think Monday.
At first I used to say, well, let's transition and slowly drop your carbohydrates down and do this and do that. But I say, you know what? Bite the bullet and just drop them. Because one of the other ways that you can get into ketosis is through fasting. Okay? So if you are going to just stop eating those carbohydrates, your body's going to feel like it's a fast. Okay? So it's going to... all of a sudden you don't have any more carbohydrates. It's going to burn off what little carbohydrates you have left because they don't last very long in your body. Carbohydrates and sugars don't last very long at all. That's why when people switch to a high-fat diet, your energy level is so consistent and so much for a long period of time because your body has fat to use. It has all this fat, and that's a key to it. Hey, Tank is just kind of going nuts over here.
So Jason Wright asks, how could a 300-pounder need the same carbs as a 150-pounder?
What's that?
The carbs is negligible. So like a 300-pounder wouldn't have the same other nutrients. So you wouldn't they wouldn't have the same. Like the 25 grams of carbs is just a guideline for everybody basically. So it's got to be. What do you call it?
I'm not helping you here. I'm going to let you struggle.
Look at you. Come and help me out. It's got to be tailored. It's got to be tailored to yourself.
I see where you're going. All right. Yeah. And what was his? I missed his question. What was he saying? Total carbs, especially when getting into keto, I need under 15. Yeah, that's Marjorie. Marjorie's saying that. Yep.
Jason said, how could a 300-pounder need the same carbs as a 150-pounder?
Because you don't really want to need carbs. The whole idea is to have, I could say this online. My wife is teasing me. Yeah, just what you think. So off camera. So, I lost my train of thought.
The carbs in your system anyway, so it's like you don't really need them anyway.
My life sucks. So she got me so off track, I don't even know what I was talking about. Like 20 carbs is 20 carbs. I don't care if you're a 100-pound person or a 300-pound person. Get to the 20 carbs, that's it. Because you want just enough carbs to keep somebody alive and maybe like keep some of the fiber in your body to keep some of that going. But as far as carbohydrates, it's a non-essential food. You don't necessarily need it. There's people that don't eat any carbs at all. The carnivore diet, they don't eat any carbs at all, and they can still survive miraculously. We don't know that mankind even ate any carbs whatsoever. Maybe he ate a few here and there, but a lot of times he probably ate mostly meat. Most of your carnivore animals, your animals out there, your big cats and stuff like that, they don't eat carbohydrates. They just eat meat. Okay. Now, granted, they're made to do that, and they'll eat something, they'll gorge themselves, and they'll sleep for 3 days. But they're not sitting around getting fat. You know what I mean? They like people think that if you just sit there and eat, if you eat this way, you gorge yourself, you're going to get fat. Well, most of your animals don't do it that way. They're hunters and gatherers and stuff like that, and they go out and literally they eat meat. Now, can we do that? Maybe, maybe not. The science isn't 100% on all of it, but just to be safe, eat some carbs. Like Dr. Eric Westman says, he says eat 2 handfuls of leafy green vegetables, which would be 2 cups, and eat 1 cup of crunchy green vegetables. And then we'll go over what some of those examples can be. For like the leafy greens, you're talking romaine lettuce, your spinach, your arugula, your regular iceberg lettuce. You're talking, just leafy greens like that. And then, of course, your crunchy greens would be, Matt, you want to throw them in there? You got some crunchy greens?
Crunchy greens.
Yeah, like
celery.
Yeah, broccoli and cauliflower and celery. And what do they have in Australia? Do they have any other weird ones over there?
They're all the same. I think that you guys got.
I don't think so. I think you
maybe
guys got some weird stuff. I don't know, but I think you guys do. I think you guys got some weird foods over there. Anyway,
like kangaroo blossoms or something.
Right. Now, to me, I've always suggested that fats are going to be the #1 macro. When I first started this, and I said you got to get high fat, and so many people were worried about me saying high fat. Okay. And now I've got so many people that I every time I look at somebody else online, they seem to be in my corner now, it seems like, even though it's not really officially my corner. I've been pushing the higher fat for a long time. And a lot of people have been pushing this, oh, you just got to eat a little bit of fat and your body will utilize your own fat. Well, yeah, you do want to utilize your own fat, but if you eat fat, enough fat, you're not be able to eat enough to support your body. So if you think you're going to eat all the fat you need for that day and your body's not going to be able to use any of your body fat, you don't understand how your body works, because in order to eat that much fat, I don't know that you can. You just can't. And your body will find the extra energy it needs through your body fat. That's just how it works. People think, oh, I can't just eat everything. Am I going to eat all my fat and then I'm not going to lose any weight? No. In the beginning of the ketogenic diet, eat as much as you want, because basically you got to get rid of the idea of calories. Get away from that. Stop thinking that you have to eat a certain amount and that's it. And you go on to these apps that are out there. And there's hundreds of them.
Like the more you eat, and the more the fat you're consuming or whatever, the more satiated or the more full you become, and you feel full for longer, and then you just won't eat as much as you'd like it, and it'll work itself out naturally.
If you're you're not going to eat as much as you think you're going to eat, and I don't care if it's all fat. You know what I mean? You have to have a high fat diet, and Dr. Finney says this, and I get some people that try to say, oh, well, he doesn't say which. Yes, he does. He absolutely does. And I've posted a video of him in an interview saying that if you eat a moderate to lower, if you reduce your fat to a moderate fat, he said, you're not going to stay in ketosis. If you try to eat more than 20%, or I think he said 20 or 25% protein, he said, you're going to be out of ketosis. That's what he says. So if you're eating, if like some people are saying, well, you could try to eat like 60 or 50% of fat. Okay, so that means you're eating what? And you can only have basically about 5% of carbs. So are you really eating 45% protein and still thinking you're in ketosis? And you're kind of quoting Dr. Finney and stuff? Then you're not really quoting Dr. Finney. You're making up your own kind of ketogenic weird diet, because Dr. Finney says you got to stay under, I think it's under 25. I'll have to double check it, but it's either under 25 or under 20% of protein. And some people just can't seem to absorb that. They keep thinking, oh, you got to keep that old mindset, you know, I can't eat that much fat, you know, they keep thinking fat's bad. And it's just not.
So when you eat protein and stuff, your body goes through a process called gluconeogenesis, which turns the protein into sugars, basically, for your muscles and all that sort of stuff, and for your energy, because you're not getting enough fat to fuel it. So yeah, that's why it kicks you out of ketosis.
Right. I was talking to my buddy today at work, and he was talking about how he's eating protein every 2 hours. He's eating like 50 grams of protein every 2 hours so he can get big and strong. And I said, dude, you're already big. Yeah, you're already big. And to eat 50 grams of protein or something, it's a little loud. Jen?
Oh.
Yeah.
A little loud, Jen.
A little loud, Jen. Yeah. He's eating like 50 grams of protein every 2 hours. And I said, you understand that the body can only process a certain amount of that protein. So when it starts feeling like you're eating in excess, it turns into sugar, which then becomes fat. Just like anything else, if you eat too much, it's going to turn into fat. Or, you know. Let's see. What do we got? We got anybody asking questions right now? Did you see
Jason Wright's comment, I prefer bacon neogenesis.
Yeah, that's Jason. He's funny. He's funny on all that. So we basically talked about the fats. And those fats, the way I would like people to get fats in, there's the best way to get fats in, and then you can reduce it down. The best way I think is to get fats is through animal fats. You know, like your red meats, which would be your steaks, your hamburger. Hamburger is a higher fat than a steak, believe it or not. Through chicken thighs with the skins. You want the skins on there.
Pork chops.
Pork chops. Yeah, you could do pork chops. Make sure that they have the fat on them. Okay, don't get a lean cut of meat. Stay away from chicken breast, like necessarily, because chicken breast is just a very high protein, low fat kind of a dish. It's kind of that old mindset way of thinking, because I literally probably ate 10 chicken breasts a week for a long time, thinking I was eating healthy, and I just didn't understand why I wasn't healthy as I once was, because I'm eating good. I'm eating, you know, I could eat a baked potato and some corn with butter or fake butter, Molly McButter and stuff like that. And I'm eating fake salt, and I'm eating, I'm eating a chicken breast as dry and bland as can be. How am I not losing any weight? You know, and I just never put all the science together with it, and the science just really makes it. It just makes it work, and that's the thing. If the science didn't support this, I wouldn't be doing it. I really wouldn't, because I have done more research on this than any diet I've ever done in my life. So, like, my brain explodes sometimes.
It shows, though. It shows.
Yeah. Now, once I've eaten enough of those animal meats for the day, there are added fats. Like, you're going to add in your butters, maybe your olive oil, your avocado oil, your MCT oil. Stuff like that. So there's other ways of getting all these other added fats in, and those are all good. Those are all a good way to get in the fats. So yeah. And then of course after that, then there's olives. There's avocados. It's my wife. Things. My wife is being a goof.
Is she razzing again?
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Anyway, back to wherever we were. You could talk for a minute.
Yeah. So once you've worked out, I guess what your macros and stuff are supposed to be for like daily. I guess the next best or the next focus that I would have is to stay consistent, because I think consistency has to be the key to any sort of weight loss, and especially in the ketogenic diet.
Yeah. If you don't stick with it, what you're just gonna go back to what, eating carbohydrates and sugar? If you did your research, you just will never go back. So you have to stay consistent. You just have to keep doing it.
Ketosis as well. So like carb cycling, like some people would do it. Like they'll have a carb meal on the weekend and then kick themselves out of ketosis and then spend the next week trying to get back in.
Yeah, and then they benefit from it for a day or so, and then boom, they knock themselves right back out. Yeah, so for me, I don't cheat at all. Yeah, I don't cheat at all. I have no cheat days scheduled. I have no cheat meals. I don't do any of that. So
I do have a cheat meal, but it's still within the bounds of a ketogenic diet. So it's not full of carbs. Like I'll go to McDonald's or something, or Hungry Jack's or whatever, and ask for a burger with no bun and no cheese.
Yeah,
and no sauce even, because the sauce is full of sugar as well. But so like basically just a patty and some salad. And that's basically my cheat meal. I've pretend it's a burger.
Is McDonald's made with like kangaroo meat over there? Because that's what we used to hear when we were kids. We used to hear that Australia McDonald's were all kangaroo meat and stuff like that.
Have you ever tried kangaroo?
No, I don't think so. It's like eating a dog, isn't it?
Eating a dog? No, they're a pest over here, man. You can't get rid of them.
Oh, come on. I heard you say that before.
You can get kangaroo mince. It's a very lean meat, so you probably wouldn't want to try it anyway.
No. No, I don't think I want to try it. All right, let me see. Let's talk about electrolytes too. So, people say that the keto flu is inevitable, that it's going to happen. Okay. Somebody's asking if kangaroo meat is good.
It's all right. It tastes a little bit like sausage when it's cooked properly. It's all right.
Yeah.
Crikey, it's all right.
Crikey. All right. So electrolytes. There's ways to get away from the ketogenic flu or the keto flu, and basically all it is when you start the ketogenic diet, you're going to lose water weight because the carbohydrates are what hold your water. So now you no longer have these carbohydrates holding your water, which are also holding your electrolytes. Okay, so in order to make up for that lost electrolytes and that lost water, you're going to have to drink a little water, and you're also going to have to supplement in some of the major electrolytes, which the very first one would be sodium. So you're talking like pink Himalayan sea salt, like the butter broth I drank earlier. I use these bouillon cubes. There's 1,000 milligrams of salt in each one. I put 2 of them in a cup of water. This helps me, and getting your electrolytes in isn't just to pass the keto flu. It's going to be an everyday thing. You have to get in these big 3 that I would call them, and that's potassium, magnesium, and sodium. Sodium is the key on it. Check and see how your body reacts as you slowly increase your sodium. 2,400 is.
And in the beginning, it's good to have more sodium as well, because it'll retain some water, so you're not just constantly weeing and just like drawing out all your other electrolytes anyway.
Right, exactly. And so sodium is my first one. Sodium is my first one, and I really think that when you have low energy or you have a headache or you just feel nauseous, it's because you don't have enough of this. You really don't. The other 2 are tricky. The other 2 are very tricky. Magnesium and potassium. Magnesium isn't as tricky as potassium, but magnesium is this one here, okay? This is a magnesium supplement, and you can get them a couple different ways. You can get it in mostly the food. If you follow a ketogenic diet really well, you're going to get a lot of this magnesium in you. But this is a supplement that you could take maybe in the morning, take one again before you go to bed. This is something that you want to get used to doing, is a magnesium supplement. Now this, you don't have to necessarily go with this particular brand. If you guys can see this brand, I don't know, without screwing up the cameras too much. Let me see. I don't even know if this is going to work. Yeah. Hello. Right there. So there, that's what it looks like. All right. That's one way to get magnesium. Now, I listened to a video on Dr. Fung, and he was very persuasive. And he says that when you take a supplement of magnesium, it goes in one end, comes out the other. Very little of it gets absorbed. So he said the best way to absorb it is through this. And this is Epsom salts. And the very first ingredient on this, okay, is magnesium sulfate. That's the very first ingredient. and it smells really good. This is a eucalyptus and spearmint. And what you would do is you would put a little bit of this in a bathtub, all right, and you would soak in it. Now, maybe it's not the most macho thing to do for guys, but as far as a bath, and with the Epsom salts and the eucalyptus, the relaxation and the reduction of cortisol, which is something we'll get into in another episode, the amount of stress relief that bath is going to do for you, and having your skin absorb this magnesium, because it's all in the water and it's absorbing right into your skin, the hydration of it, it's going to make your skin feel better. It's going to make your muscles more relaxed. It's going to remove that cortisol. It's going to make you feel so much better. And you know what? Put a couple candles up. Do whatever you want. Play your music. You know, I'm telling you, make a big deal of it. It's. I used to do a lot more baths, and I kind of missed that, because now all I do is I do the shower. But I wish I would do the bath more. And that's why I went and bought this. So maybe I'm going to start. Okay, so this is something that I found on Amazon. It's Dr. Teal's, if you guys can see that. I don't know if it's backwards. Here, just kidding. But that's something I would suggest, is doing an Epsom salt bath. Great way to get the magnesium and absorbing it through your skin. That's per Dr. Fong. And then potassium. If you get a potassium supplement, it's garbage. I'm just telling you, because the whole bottle is only allowed to contain 99% of what you need on a daily basis. That's the whole bottle, all right? So you're not going to get a good magnesium supplement through a pill. It's just not going to happen. So what I found is this stuff right here. It's called No Salt. What's it say? Tiffany Mole says, oh, the bath. Yeah. No Salt right here. And this is basically potassium. This, according to this, it has 650 milligrams of salt per serving, which is a quarter teaspoon. All right, quarter teaspoon. And that's relatively 19% of the U.S. recommended daily allowance, 650 milligrams. I don't know which way to put it, right there. Try it like that. Can you guys see it?
No.
Yeah, there it is. It's backwards, so I'll leave it there for a second so you guys can like see it. Cover his face real quick. But no, there it is. But that's it. Okay. So there we are. That's my suggestions: the magnesium, the potassium, and the sodium. And that's going to keep you from getting the flu. If you do happen to get the flu, or you start to feel achy, or you start to feel nauseous, or whatever, you're missing one of these. And that's
For sure.
plain and simple. That's it.
Sorry, man. Sorry, Bob?
What's that? Oh, you're talking? All right. And one of the things that I really want to stress about, and a lot of people, when they come from the standard American diet and their goal happens to be weight loss, and they've already cut their calorie to this low deficit, and they've gotten their body used to this low calorie. That's part of that low mindset. I really wanted to push this idea that you have to get your calories back up. You have to. I stressed this in the last video. I stress it in my videos on my other YouTube channel. I stress the idea that if you don't have your calories up, you're never going to get any type of good weight loss out of the ketogenic diet. You have to have your body used to a higher caloric intake, so that when you naturally start to eat less, your body will still need that extra calories, and that's when it starts utilizing your body fat. But so you maintain a high fat diet. I don't care how long you think you know that you can do it, or whatever you think. Oh, if I just eat too much fat, I'm going to not lose fat. It's nonsense. So many people are now switching over to that, and they're going, oh, you know what? I should have known. I should have stuck with that high fat idea. So many of them are switching. Like I wish I could name like everyone that has been switching over in the last 5 or 6 months. And for me, I've kind of been on this high fat the whole time. And people are like, what? And I even made this little meme, like a little picture, and it says 200 grams of fat. And I got into so many debates with people. They're like, oh, 200 grams of fat, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And then the next thing I see Stephanie Person. She's that skateboarder with the chiseled abs. out in California. She's like 110 pounds. She's been doing keto for 5 or 6 years. She eats over 200 grams of fat a day. And she's been coaching thousands and thousands of people because she's a keto coach, and she puts them all on over 200 grams of fat a day. So, so many people are now switching to that higher fat and getting away from that old mindset. Oh, you can't eat, don't eat so much fat. You'll get fat. You know, it's just nonsense. Eat as much fat as you want. Eat as much food as you want. Your body's going to regulate it. It's going to curve your appetite. It's not like you were on a carbohydrate diet and you're just going to overeat until you blow up. It's going to, you're going to feel really full really fast on a carbohydrate diet, which is a high fat, moderate carb or moderate protein, low carb, total carb diet. That's it. And it's pretty much, there's so much other misinformation, right, Matt? There's so much out there. And you just, like, I have seen all this misinformation, and I just want to scream sometimes. Like, people are saying, oh, like this one girl, I'm not going to mention names, but she has a YouTube following, and she says, I'm going to do this higher protein now instead of the higher fat. And I'm like, well, that's already been tried. That's Atkins. And I told her on her site, I said, don't do this. It's not keto. Don't do this. Don't do this. And she decided to do it anyway. She had a lot of followers, and she's, you know, and she's trying it, and then she runs into a stall, and she can't figure out why. And I said, high protein, you know, and people were yelling at me because I was telling her that you need to go back to the high fat diet, which is what keto is. And they were all fussing at me and arguing with me. And I was just like, you know what? Y'all do what you want. That's fine. A couple weeks later, she was like a moderator for a big 100,000 member keto group on Facebook. And they kind of shit-canned her. They told her they were cutting all ties with her because of the way she's doing her diet. And she said, wow, that just caught me off guard. And she was upset. And I felt bad for her. You know, I said, you have your own followers. So, you know, you want to stick with that high protein? Stick with it. But don't expect a ketogenic group to keep supporting you and keep promoting you if you're not really promoting the ketogenic diet anymore. You're doing the Atkins diet. Go find a website for the Atkins diet. So there's a lot of misinformation, and it takes time for some of these people to realize it. You know what I'm saying? Like they think they're doing the right thing, and that's fine, but do the research. You know, you're going to find out that ketogenic is high fat, and it is high fat, and you eat high fat. You don't just wish high fat. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying, well, I wish my body will eat all my fat and then I'll be on a high fat diet. Nope. You got to eat the high fat. You got to eat the moderate protein. You got to eat the low carb. And then your body will utilize the rest of energy it needs by utilizing your fat, because you won't have any carbohydrates in you. Your body will have moderate protein, only enough to basically repair the muscles that you have, that you work all during the day. And then basically your body thinks, okay, now my majority of my energy is fat. Okay, so whenever I need more energy, I am going to take body fat. And that's exactly what happens. You're never going to be able to eat too much fat.
Yeah, definitely. And if you do enough research, you'll be able to pick those people as well, the people that are giving you the false information, and it'll get better.
Yeah. I've had, and people are like, oh, you know, there's so many people that are just like, no, okay. You know what? When you stall, try the high fat, get back to me. And how many people, I wish I had enough toes and fingers, no pun intended, I don't have toes, but I wish I had enough fingers to count how many people came back to me and said, you know what, I did go high fat and I came out of that stall, and I want to thank you. I was like, don't private message me this, not when you chastise me in front of all your people. Go back to your webpage or whatever you had, and I told you about this. Go back and say, you know what, he was right. You know, like, give me the kudos, man. Like, I did my research. I tried to help you. And you were just like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Go away. You're a jerk. Oh, wait a minute. I actually tried it and it worked. We love you. Come back. And I was like, no. This idiot's going to stay where he is. I'm going to stay in the, Yeah, I'm gonna stay in the bad guy section of keto, I guess. You know, so
Yeah.
you know,
On the opposite side of that coin, though, you can't let people, because most people that you talk to about the ketogenic diet won't get it or won't understand it. So
Yeah.
don't let people try, like, in the beginning, don't let people try and talk you out of it
No.
because,
Yeah.
or don't let them try and tell you what to do. You got to make the decisions for yourself, and you got to do the research for yourself as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I
don't
get
let
people all the
tell you
time.
what
Yeah,
else.
I get friends all the time saying, you got to eat carbs. You got to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, I'll be right here.
Yesterday, I
I'll
went
be
out
right
for
here.
lunch with the work colleagues, and
Yeah.
they gave me I had pork belly. They gave me in the salad there was like chopped up bits of orange.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. And also I was just put them to the side. Not eat those. I didn't eat those, obviously.
Obviously.
And people was, oh, why are you getting rid of the healthiest part of your plate? Why won't you eat the sugar? The orange is healthy for you. And I'm like, I just don't like orange or something like that. Like I didn't say like, oh, it's too much sugar and carbs or whatever. But
Heck, I use that as an opportunity, man. I just, you know what? Guess what? It's not the healthiest part. Yeah, it's not the healthiest part of the diet. Yeah, you just use that. And now if you did that, we would have more subscribers today.
oh,
Ah,
no one listens to me, mate. Yeah.
no one listens to you. All right, I want to look and see if I took down some notes. I want to make sure I really got everything in.
Yeah. I've got a little tip, like especially for
Yeah.
people, I guess, in Australia and everywhere else, I would assume. But especially in the States, is like read every label, every single label you ever come across. You got to read it and know what's in it, because people have gotten so good at hiding sugar and hiding carbohydrates and hiding like just trash in food.
Yeah.
Especially in Australia, like when we were talking about net carbs and total carbs. In Australia, most of the labels, they already deduct the dietary fiber from the amount on the total carbs.
Most countries do that, except for America. Yeah,
it's already net carbs. So
yeah,
you just got to, when you're reading the label, you got to add the dietary fiber back in if you're doing total carbs. But
it's a good point.
The net carbs is already there. And so it gets confusing for some people because they'll go, I'm doing net carbs. So say the total carbs is 2 on the label, but then there's 3.4 grams of dietary fiber.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't have more dietary fiber than there is carbs. So it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I've seen where it's like 8 dietary fiber and two net carbs, and I'm like, because a lot of times people are now even trying to say, well, I'm going to add in those sugar alcohols that are in there. I'm going to deduct that from my total carbs. I'm going to deduct the fiber from my total carbs. They're finding all these ways to manipulate their carbohydrate intake. And you know what? Like I said in the beginning, if you want to be in ketosis, get under total 20 carbs. That's it. It's that quick. I've even listened to, say, like Keto Connect, those guys. I like them, Matt and Mega. Like Matt was like, they go by net carbs in a lot of their videos. And he's like, you know what? We eat like 40, maybe 50 total carbs, but it comes out to like 20 net carbs. And he goes, but you know what? He goes, if I would really, want to honest with you guys, if you really want to get into ketosis, he goes, eat like 5 grams of carbs a day. He's like, the lower the better. And that's what I tell people. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in this, well, I can manipulate this and I can manipulate that. And when I tell people eat 20 grams of carbs, it's not it's not a goal. It's a threshold. It means if you go over it, you screwed up. I want you to be at 19 or below. That's what I really want. And if you're at 0, hey, you're at 0. It is what it is. And then that gets me to another thing is so many people are going to try to find a fast way to ketosis, to get themselves into ketosis. And there's 2 ways of doing it. All right. And if you believe some of the lies out there, there's 3 ways. But the first one is the hardest one, and that would be to fast. Once you fast for 2 days or whatever you have to do, and you exercise and you try to burn all that glycogen out of your muscles, it's a horrible way to do it. But you know what? When you have no energy left and you've burned it all off and you haven't eaten, and it's probably the worst and scariest way to do it, you'll be in ketosis. You will, because you're not going to have any carbs. You're not going to have any glycogen. You're going to have nothing, and your body's going to be forced to utilize your fat for energy. And that is the quickest way to get into ketosis. Now, ketosis doesn't mean you're fat adapted. And that is a whole nother episode. Yeah, because fat adaptation, I'm going to tell you right now, is the goal of the ketogenic diet. It's not ketosis. Ketosis, I can get into ketosis and just by not eating today, or not eating, for the next 2 days. I'll be in ketosis, but will I be fat adapted or keto adapted? I don't know yet. It takes a little while. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to really achieve that. But yeah, it's just crazy that people want to get to this fast way. The other way is what I've been telling you and what Matt's been saying. Eat a ketogenic lifestyle. Eat less than 20 grams of carbs. Eat your moderate proteins. Eat your higher fats. Guess what? In a little bit, you're going to be in ketosis. A little consistency, like Matt was talking about earlier. Stay consistent. Don't have your cheat meals. You can't cheat in the very beginning of this diet. That's probably... You
definitely got to be patient because it works differently for everybody. Like some people can get fat adapted in 6 to 8 weeks, or then some people it takes up to 12, 13, 14 weeks to get into fat adapted because their body's so used to running on carbohydrates.
Right, and especially if they right, and especially if they're eating something that they didn't know had sugar in it. Like I had some people saying, "Oh, I've been eating this bacon all this time," and we talked about bacon on one of my other videos on my other channel, and they pulled out their bacon and they're like, "The bacon I've been eating has sugar in it," and just like Matt was stressing, you got to look at your labels. Because they're going to hide that sugar in it. And like my wife and I, Jenny, remember that when we went and found that bacon and it had the #1 ingredient besides bacon was sugar?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what it said on the package? It said sugar-free on the package. And the very first ingredient was sugar. Not even bacon. The first ingredient was sugar. And I was just like, I took it right back. I was like, this is ridiculous. Because I opened it and I was like, it smells weird, And I look at it and it said sugar-free bacon, and I'm like, they hide it. And I was like, how can you say it's sugar-free when the first ingredient is sugar? They will do it to you, people. You have to read your labels. And a lot of times they'll say less than 1 gram of sugar. And then you look and you'll see like 6 different names for sugar in the ingredients. And that's because they could add like less than 1 gram of every one of those sugars. And it'll probably be about 6 grams of sugar in that thing, but they'll say it's less than 1 gram because they don't have to advertise all of that sugar. And that's what's scary. Yeah.
Well, we should probably talk about sugar, alcohols, and sweeteners and stuff too before we call it a day. Just because, like, people will go, "Oh, I'll get this sugar-free drink or whatever," but it's still full of aspartame and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I've found that the only ones that I try and stick to when I'm consciously thinking about it, erythritol and stevia. They're pretty much the only ones I kind of stick to.
Now, xylitol is also a good one. As far as what it'll do to you, it won't spike your blood sugar. Allulose is another one, but allulose isn't as popular. It's not well known. Xylitol, bad for pets. So if you have xylitol around the house and say you spill some of it on the floor, like you're sweetening your coffee or your tea or your drink or whatever, and you spill it on the floor and your dog licks it up, it could die from it. It's not even a joke. It's not even like, it's like powdered antifreeze to your dog. It'll kill them. It's not like your dog is healthier if it ate a giant Hershey bar off your coffee table than it would by licking up some xylitol off the floor. It's that bad for it. Yeah. So but like Matt said,
most of the other sweeteners and sugar alcohols they don't spike your insulin the same way that natural sugar would, but they do have like a weird insulin response or whatever. So you could be drinking a sugar-free drink like Diet Pepsi or something like that, and it'll slow down or stop your fat burning for a couple of hours or maybe more. Right.
Now, like Spivey was just saying,
spikes.
Yeah, Spivey just said that he likes sucralose. Now, sucralose for me will spike my blood sugar. Now, some people it doesn't. I've seen where like the Keto Connect, they did this really good video on testing the sugars. And
I saw that one,
and sucralose was one of the ones that they said would not spike your blood sugar. But then I tried it, and sure enough, it spiked me. So and you know what? Erythritol might still spike your blood sugar. Stevia probably won't, but you have to check it. You have to try things with it. I've tricked my wife a couple times with some of these things, and just because she has this mental blockage that any type of sugar alcohol is gonna make her sick. It's terrible. It's nasty. She doesn't like it. But you know that until I can get her past that, she'll never hit the keto diet. She'll never be able to do it.
Crushing it up in her food.
I know, yeah. And then, but she always says, "What's in this?" You know, she's always she knows I'm up to no. Yeah, she knows when I'm up to no good all the time. I'm like, if I always say, "Try this," she goes, "What's in it?" Because she knows. She knows. I'm like, she goes, "Did you put any of that sugar in it?" I'm like, "No." And then she'll be like, "Oh, this is good." And then I'll have this smile on my face, and then she'll be like, "You put something in it, didn't you?" Now, and she'll give it back to me. I was like, "You just said it was good. You thought it was good." And she's like, "Yeah, but it's gonna make me sick." I was like, "Okay, yeah." Like sugar isn't gonna make you sick, right? Sugar's not making you sick. I'm trying to prolong my wife's life, and she hates me for it. So
I was thinking about this before.
I'm trying. Spivey. Look at Spivey wrote.
But what's your thoughts on like intermittent fasting in the beginning? Because I know you've started at intermittent fasting with a kick, but and I was already doing intermittent fasting when I started keto, so I just kept on doing it.
Right.
I kept on doing it for the whole time. But yeah, what do you think about intermittent fasting? Like in the first until you've fat adapted the first 6 weeks.
Right. Intermittent fasting, it's some of the things you want to avoid when you're first starting keto. I should have wrote these down. Intermittent fasting is something that should be avoided in the very beginning because, like I said, in the very beginning, you want to get your calories up. And if all you're doing is intermittent fasting, where you're trying to eat all your meals within a 4, 5, 6, 8 hour window, you're not going to be able to get a lot of the calories in because, for one, like Matt said, the ketogenic diet is going to really curb your appetite, and you're not going to feel hungry. You're just not.
It's going to naturally come,
Yeah, so it's going to be harder for you to get all the calories I'm telling you to get in. I want you to overeat, you know what I'm saying? I want you to get those calories up so that you get all these bodily functions properly going and everything else. And Ollie needs to go out. Ollie needs to go out. Jenny?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting at the moment, just because
I am too now, right?
Lowers down your insulin spikes and stuff like that. It lowers your insulin resistance, which is only.
No, I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not saying avoid it altogether, but in the beginning, no, don't do it. You don't have to you could do a partial intermittent fast, which intermittent fasting basically would be in definition by eliminating the snacks, because most people live on snacks. If you work in an office place, your workplace is driven on snacks. Most people are constantly snacking all day long, and that means they're constantly raising their insulin levels up and down, up and down, up and down, and intermittent fasting does eliminate that. But so if you want, in the very beginning, the only thing I would suggest as far as a way to implement intermittent fasting is cut out the snacks. Get those high-fat breakfast, high-fat lunch, and a high-fat dinner, and stick with that. Jen?
Yeah, don't focus on it.
Ollie needs to go out. He's struggling.
Get him out of here.
He's got cancer, and he can't stand up on his own.
Yeah.
Oh, he can't stand up. He's whining. I know you got your headphones on. She's not even listening to me. Now he's
Hey Delaney.
Yeah, we just have to pick him up.
We are super late. We're just about to wrap up, aren't we?
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up. Real quick, I wanted to get this in. One of the foods that I want people to avoid on this when they start the keto diet, and a lot of them won't think that it's healthy to eat these, and it's not in the beginning. It's really not. And I know people that follow me they know what's gonna come from this, and it's nuts and cheese. Don't do them in the beginning. For the first 4 to 6 weeks, if you could cut out all dairy, cut out all dairy. If you can cut out all the sweeteners in the beginning and sugar, which is hard to do, especially if you're coming off of a really high sugar diet, The fake sugars will keep you from killing your loved ones, then do the fake sugars. But gradually you want to get off of those fake sugars too, and the cheese and the nuts. I'm not saying that they're not keto. I'm just saying that if you eat them, you're going to eat a lot of it. Okay, and it doesn't take much for a couple handfuls of nuts to just blow your diet out of the water. Okay, you could end up eating 500, 600, 700 calories of nuts, and it's not going to make you feel full, but you're gonna pay for it. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of calories. And it's the same way with cheese. You just like, I'll just eat a little piece of cheese. And then I'll eat another little piece, and then I'll eat another. Here, I'll put a little cheese on my eggs, and I'll put some cheese on my salad, and then I'm going to eat a piece of cheese with some pepperoni and some meats and stuff like that. Yeah. And you just end up eating way too much cheese.
Yeah, definitely sat there at work and had handfuls after handful of nuts and stuff.
Yeah.
Trail me.
All right. Well, I think we covered this pretty good. And you know what? You really want to, when you do the keto diet, and you're doing your research and you're doing all that stuff, prepare for this, because it's not easy. You want to make sure you know what you're doing. Get those meal plans ready. Figure out the fats that you're going to have for breakfast. Figure out the fats you're going to have for lunch, and figure out the fats you're going to have for dinner. If you don't eat all those meals, that's fine. You know, you can't force yourself to eat, but I am suggesting that you try to eat as much as you can, and still, build that up.
Definitely do your research.
Do your research.
If you're anything like me, you just come into this without any prior knowledge and just go at it like on a whim. It won't work for you. Like it took me 3 months to even figure out what I was doing wrong. So especially make sure you know what you're doing in the beginning.
And stick with us.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, stick with us. Yeah. We're gonna get you there. We're gonna
ask questions and all that sort of stuff. Like
Yep. So
as many questions.
We're going to try to get as many of these episodes out for you guys. We're going to cover all different things. We're going to make sure that if you ever have a question on sugar, you're going to be able to go to a certain episode. If you ever have a question on just intermittent fasting, you're going to be able to go to an episode like this one here. If you want to know how to start the ketogenic diet, or you want to help a loved one to start the ketogenic diet, say, hey, go watch Walker and Gonzo on episode 2. They're going to teach you that. You might as well binge watch them, start going from there. But the next episode, when is the next episode? Is it going to be every Friday?
I can do this time next week.
Next week. All right.
So we're working it out while we're live. That's funny.
That's funny.
The same time next week.
That's because Spivey asked. When is the next episode? So I wanted to put that out there. So probably we want to do these at least once a week. Yeah. What's that? I think he just froze.
Spivey said it's eat a whole bag of nuts.
A whole bag of nuts. Yeah. Saturday
for me, Friday afternoon for you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like Friday. It's like this time next week, next Friday. So that'll be good for me. And we're gonna try to get these episodes out, and we're gonna be specific. We're gonna talk about certain things, and we'll probably announce it later in the week. What the next episode is going to be about, so that you can prepare and maybe get ready for it. So we are going to get everybody on the right track. No misinformation. We're going to give you the best possible information that we can find. Yep, 5 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. That's as far as we know. That's what we're going to do. So, yep. Any parting words, my friend?
Not today.
Not today.
We've got a party going on behind me because it's my girlfriend's sister's 21st today. I'm gonna grab my big boy water bottle and sit there around the fire and drink water all night.
Be the big party pooper of the day. Yeah.
Yell at the dirty children.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I want to thank everybody for watching this. Please, share this with people that you know that are thinking about doing keto. Get them interested in following our podcast here. I'm actually going to be sporting some our podcast wear next time. I had a shirt made up and a hat. I'm going to be all ghettoed out with my Going Keto podcast right here. Yeah. So, All right, guys.
Cool.
Like Martha Miranda said, keto on, folks. You guys all keep on going keto. Get in contact with Matt through Blubbersphere. Get in contact through me on keto diet, Going Gonzo, or Going Gonzo keto diet, whichever format you want. You can Google me. I'll pop up either way. And we'll see you guys the next time. All right?
See you guys.
See ya.
Party on.
All right.